Hello and welcome on the spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. We are coming to you from Rwakitura, the president's country home. Tonight, the president himself is our guest on the show. And of course, we've got so many things to talk about, including the economy, the security situation, and the term limits that everybody has been talking about. But why waste the time and not talk to the president himself? Mr. President, welcome to the show.
How are you?
About 2005, there was the agitation to limit the term limits because they thought here was a good man. Why have these limits that can deny Ugandans to have a good leader continue? The same people again are back, but now they are saying there should be term limits. Could this be an indication that perhaps they are losing the confidence they had then in you, sir?
It is not the same people.
The same NRM group, we've seen some young people, the young thugs in the NRM, sir.
Those young thugs are normally part of the indisciplined group who were opposing NRM programs even in the past. So it's not the same group. It is actually it is the same group who used to oppose even in the past. So there's no change as far as the NRM mainstream is concerned. But anyway, there's no problem. It can be discussed. After all, there's no problem about reopening anything. However, it should be done through the proper procedure, like when they can put forward their proposal for the agenda. For NEC, we are going to meet after 6 months. We had a meeting last time, we had come to discuss other issues. So if those ones feel that we should discuss it again, they can reopen it and we'll discuss it in NEC 6 months from now.
Theodore Sekikubo, Muhammad Nsereko, these are not all the people. These are the same people. These are the same people, Mr. President.
No, the Sekikubo even in the past was erratic. It was erratic. At that time, in fact, Sekikubo voted for lifting the term limit because otherwise he would never have come back to Parliament. But he was not part of the main force that moved that move.
Let me put it this way. What is your personal view on the term limits?
My view is that it is a lot of nonsense because as long as there are elections, the people should elect. And there are some good examples. If you take a country like Israel, for instance, indeed all the European countries, they don't have term limits. Except, I don't know which ones have term limits. It's only the United States. But all the others, Britain, I think even France, certainly I know Israel, as long as the people are electing, that would be the limit. If the people don't want you, that's the end of the story. So it's a diversion. It's not a serious issue, in my opinion.
So how about if the term limits are lifted, then why should the country have the age limit? What is your view on that? Should the age limit also be there anyway?
Well, that one, I think that one we had ignored. We had not discussed it. It can be discussed, but since we had not, but I think after 75, the vigor, I think there's some scientific idea there that maybe the vigor is not as much after 75 years. So that one I wouldn't quarrel with some. I know there are some leaders who have been leading even beyond 75. But I think if you want very active leaders, it should good to have the ones below 75.
So are you saying you wouldn't go beyond 75 yourself, sir?
Not at all. Certainly not. I wouldn't, because that's in the Constitution now. And I would not say lift that. I would not involve myself in wanting to change that, because I think there is some scientific logic behind it.
We have seen religious leaders who have come, telling you and telling Ugandans that the president has done a good job. Really, should at the end of 2006 step down.
That's none of their business. Those religious leaders, they have got a lot of work to do to preach the gospel of God. And from what is happening, I don't think they are doing the work very well, because we have got all these young people who are taking drugs, engaging in prostitution, even the corruption they talk about. It starts from the homes, it starts from the families. So the religious leaders could spend a bit more time preaching the gospel. When we came from the bush, Uganda was about to disappear because of AIDS. The prevalence rate was 35% in some cases. It was we, the non-religious people, who had to preach what should have been preached by those religious people. I don't stop them having views. They can have views, but I think the arrogance of going on the pulpit and giving me a lecture about something I know better than they do is something they should check themselves on. I used to work with some of the religious leaders, like the late Cardinal Subga. He would have his views, come quietly, and we talk about it. But when you go in public to give me a lecture, one day I will also give you a counter lecture. So it's not a good method.
Having listened to you as a young man then in primary, come and you say correctly that the problem of Africa is leaders staying in power for so long. And 25 years down the road, Mr. President, you're still on. Do you sometimes regret having made that statement and yet you're still on?
Not at all. What I said, staying in power without mandate of the people. Because remember, the people of Uganda have not expired. Have you heard that there is a population called Ugandans? They are there. They are the owners of this country. They have the power, according to our constitution, every 5 years to change whoever they want to change. So why do you want to usurp their role? Why do you want to usurp their role? So what I was saying that time was leaders who stay in power without mandate of the people. That's what I was saying.
We have a Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, who just a few days ago said she is under immense pressure from the NRM leaders to deny the opposition active debate in the Parliament. What's your comment on that?
Well, I don't know what my young...
To freely debate.
Certainly I'm not the one putting pressure on her. And I will find out from her who are these who are putting pressure on her to violate the Constitution and stop people expressing their views in Parliament. I will find out from her. First of all, I don't know whether what she said is true, because your newspaper, The Monitor, is famous for telling lies. But if that's what she said, then I will ask her who are these who are putting pressure on her not to observe the Constitution, because the Constitution says give everybody a chance in the Parliament on a balanced way.
Are we at a time, Mr. President, when you're looking at less party cohesion in the NRM? I'm looking at the young men, those born before the days of Ronasa. They seem not to be towing the line, sir.
That's very simple. The NRM is like a railway station. There are normally arrivals and departures, but the railway station never closes. So those who are tired can leave, and those who want to continue. There's nothing new at all.
The problem is that it looks like they're about to derail the railway itself.
Nobody would derail this railway. They would derail themselves, not the railway. Yeah.
Let's look at the order and public management bill.
How old are you?
I am 38.
Oh, but even the ones of 38 know how many issues we have dealt with in the past.
Yes, I know.
In the recent times,
I have seen I've seen the popularity of the president come down after every 5 years. Isn't that a concern for you? Because I'm looking at the numbers, the percentages you get in every election. So I'm thinking, why is that? Because if you have delivered this, you have delivered the other, then it should be going upwards, not downwards, Mr. President.
But I thought we got 70% last time, 68%.
Yes, but that was not 96. It is a different story. 2001 is a different story. 2006
No.
is a different story.
96 it was 75%.
Yes, it was.
It came down to 69% in 2001. It was 59% in 2006, and it shot back to 68%. And there are reasons why. For instance, we had not solved the problem of security in the north, so those people there had become disgruntled. There was the problem of cattle raiding in Teso. That also affected our vote in 2006. Now when we solved the two, then it went up. Again, the popularity.
There's this, the Order and Public Management Bill. We have seen people complain that it is one thing to arrest a suspect, but the way how they are arrested causes some concern. You know, there's a lot of assault, there's a lot, it is an indecent kind of assault. If you take example, there are so many examples. And then we don't see the arresting officers, anything being taken against them.
Well, first of all, discipline should start with the political leaders. If I am putting myself out as somebody who wants to be president of Uganda or member of parliament, I should be the example of civility. If the policeman says, please stop, I want to talk to you, I should stop. I should not be the one to assault the police or obstruct him. After all, if he arrests me wrongly, he's taking me to a court of law, I will be released. And if he has made a mistake, the court will punish him if he has arrested me wrongfully. So your papers and your TV concentrate on the mistakes of these young policemen and women, and they forget about the leaders. These are not leaders, these are just young operatives. How about the leaders, like me? Why should I conduct myself as if I am a Muyai, a rogue, or somebody who has taken a bangi? So that's number one. That's where you should start from. The leaders should be examples of discipline.
Mr. President,
but coming
we in the media have not been balanced in our reporting. Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. Yes, not at all. You are always defending lawbreakers and these young people when they are struggling to, because the young people have done a very good job.
I suppose you could have seen the pictures of the arrest of Dr. Besji and maybe the other day of Ingrid Turinawe. Mr. President, the way how was bundled on a pickup, really, with all those cameras.
I will come to that.
You will come to that. Okay.
I will come to that.
Yeah, but how could somebody have reported it otherwise?
But why does a leader resist arrest? Why? Why do you resist arrest and fight with the police? That's number one. But number two, it is true that some of these young people make mistakes. For instance, this young girl who was putting the dress of this other Turinawe woman.
It is still being contested whether that was a lady or a man pulling Ingrid Turinawe.
It was a girl. I will not tell you the name because we don't. They are doing their work, but it was a girl. Even from the picture, you can see that there were short people. Short. They were even having difficulty going over the pickup to get to reach this Turinawe woman. So yes, that young girl, instead of holding the dress, she should have got hold of the arm, because when you arrest the arm, not any other part. But so that was a mistake, and we have already reprimanded her, educated her how to do things properly. But I hope you also saw a picture of an American policeman who was lifting a woman. You didn't put it in your paper, of course.
I've seen it.
But it was in Sunday this other paper. Yes. So that's what I would do. I don't know what you say about that. Although, of course...
Two mistakes, Mr. President, don't make it right.
Not at all, not at all. So these young people, we educated them. Because this is a mistake, it's not lethal, somebody has not died, but she has done a job in not the best way. And the answer is to educate them and reprimand them.
In our line of
but also discipline the leaders who are the origin of the whole problem. Because I don't see how you can say we maintain lawlessness and we concentrate on managing lawlessness correctly. Why should we have lawlessness in the first place?
There shouldn't be. Mr. President, in our line of duty, we have interacted with these men in uniform. And sometimes the people have called those young people who make mistakes. When we ask them, why are you doing something like this? And they say, you know what, these are orders from above. Really, in Uganda, there's nobody else above other than you. Well,
certainly I have not ordered anybody to hold the dress of Turinawe. The arresting should be the arm. And you put a handcuff on the arm. That's what it should be.
We look at the oil sector, Mr. President, also briefly. Many are complaining that there's a lot of secrecy, that if somebody is to access, for example, the production sharing agreement, if he's an MP, there should be a policeman standing next to him. He shouldn't take more than 30 minutes, shouldn't even take notice. Why?
What is the secrecy about? What is the secrecy for?
We are not as open, for example, as Ghana.
I have no problem publishing those. I'll put them on Kampala Street so that all of you can read, those who can read English. You have now given me an idea. I will go and put them at the bus park, those agreements, so that anybody can read. What is secret about it? There is no secrecy. It is clear what we negotiated. Maybe during the stage of a negotiation, because these business groups, even the government wants to get as much from these people as possible, maybe at that stage. But eventually, when the agreement is signed, I don't see any secrecy, the importance of secrecy.
There was a lot of criticism on your government for taking out $750 million to buy fighter jets out of that oil money. And I thought that was an error of judgment on your side.
That was not from the oil money, that was from our money, the money from
the whole process of buying fighter jets, they thought that was an error of judgment.
Oh, we need security. You need security, that's why you are here telling all lies you want to tell, security. Then you go and sleep in your bed at night. The following morning you wake up. We need to protect our country. And we had to buy that equipment. It was brand new equipment. It is very good. It will last many years. It was a very good investment.
On the energy crisis, 90% of Ugandans are using biofuel, charcoal and wood for cooking. And that is dwindling the forest cover for Uganda. Even if you produced 2,000 megawatts tomorrow, still more than 80% will be relying on wood for fuel. Is that visible?
That is the problem of the opposition which you support. They are the ones who delayed the Bujagari Dam.
Mr. President, I support the right things. I don't support the opposition.
Yes, but why don't you denounce them? You have been carrying out a campaign against, even today, I saw an opinion by your paper, not by somebody, by one of your papers, the Monitor paper.
Mr. President, NTV has an independent editorial policy, and I'm here representing NTV.
You all belong to Aga Khan, so you are all part of the Aga Khan. I don't know whether it is Aga Khan who wants to destabilize Uganda. I don't know whether it is you people. But today, there was a front page opinion condemning the Public Law and Order Management Act. What do they want us? That Uganda should have no law? But anyway, the same energy you spend on attacking government programs, you could divert just 20% of it to attack the MPs who delayed Bujagari, who sabotaged it. Why don't you talk about that? That's what has caused the problem.
I agree with you entirely on the issue of electricity and having brought it, how Bujagali could have come earlier. But I'm wondering how, even if we got 2,000 megawatts of power today, how somebody can move away from using biofuel so that our forests are not depleted. Because that is going to be serving very few people, Mr. President.
It's not just a question of the availability of electricity. There's also the question of the purchasing power. Because the electricity may be there, but if people cannot buy it, then it will not be useful. So there's a way we project the growth of demand, meaning the demand plus ability to pay. And we think now, after July, we are going to overcome this problem. Bujagali will produce 250 megawatts. That will give us a surplus of about 100 megawatts at peak hours. And then, because I think the deficit has been 130 megawatts at peak hours. Now with 250, we shall have a surplus of about 100 megawatts for 2 years. But in that 2 years, we are going to start using our diesel, our crude oil to generate electricity. We are going to start building Karuma. We have got a lot of, we've got 50 sites of mean hydros. We are not going to have a power shortage again.
The worry is that if the person watching us tonight and listening to you tonight could have had breakfast and lunch or supper cooked using wood or charcoal, and that is a danger to the environment.
Yeah,
Bujagali and the oil may not at all solve that problem.
Yes, but that man of charcoal, even if the electricity was available, does he have the money now to pay for it? Because electricity will not be free, because the two must go hand in hand. Yes, ultimately a country like Uganda needs about 50,000 megawatts, but we cannot get to it overnight. And as long as we are catering initially for the ones who have got ability to pay, then at least that reduces on the use of charcoal, but also increases the economic base of the whole country. Because if we have got electricity, then more factories, more employment, more income, more taxes. It is all a virtuous circle. And the trigger is electricity.
We want to end with the two points, one from Southern Sudan and another on East African Federation. If I may begin with South Sudan, your Chief of Defense Force a couple of days ago was quoted by the BBC, by the Sudan Tribune, and all the media in Uganda as saying that Uganda is not going to stand by and watch and let it happen. In fact, that the Ugandan army will get in. You are the commander-in-chief. Is that an executive order from you?
He was misquoted. What he was saying was that the region would come in to mediate. That's what he was saying. He was not talking about taking sides in the war. He was talking about mediation, as we did before. Because we had mediated even for this agreement of CPA. It was the region which mediated.
But it appears
for Burundi, it is the region which mediated. It's not the first time.
But you're talking to Sudan on a third-party basis. You're not talking to Sudan directly, are you, Mr. President?
Sudan government?
Yeah, you're talking to them through IGAD.
No. We have our embassy in Khartoum. They have an embassy here. There's no problem. We talk with them. We may not agree with them, but certainly we talk with them.
President Bashir is an indicted man by the ICC. And are you still now, considering the facts on the ground, standing on the position of AU as far as the Bashir issue is concerned? That the AU stand on ICC's indictment of Bashir.
What does it say?
That he should not be tried there. The African problem should be solved with the Africans.
Yeah, but for us, we had supported the ICC. That's why we referred Kony there. But opinion is now beginning to swing against the ICC because they are only prosecuting Africans. They don't prosecute other mistake makers. But as of now, we have not taken a stand. We shall have to discuss it with other people and see whether we should continue in ICC or we pull out, or because it is beginning to appear as if there is this bias covering up some mistakes who make mistakes in Europe, and just going for these Africans, including small ones like these ones in Congo. There's a fellow called Rubanga. This is a very small player.
Tomal Banga and Bosco Ntaganda.
Yes, yes. These are small players, and yet there are people who have made very big mistakes, and nothing is done about them.
At the beginning of 2001, 2002, Tomal Banga was in a way an ally of Uganda. Before he turned his guns on the UPDF. I was in Bunia during that fight when General Kaihura was flashing Tomal Banga from Bunia.
We are the ones who kicked Rubanga out of Bunia. But, and of course, they made a lot of mistakes because of ideological limitations. Because some of these fellows don't concentrate on ideological training, they actually fight it. When we are training our people ideologically, they say we are indoctrinating them. That's why they used to oppose our Chankwan's programs. And therefore you get people coming into leadership without any ideological bearing, and they end up making all these mistakes. Now, instead of correcting the misadvice, which the Western countries in particular give Africans, then they go for these crude, biased ways of just using ICC in a biased way, instead of dealing with the basics. Because you see, for instance, even if you are to fight a war, you must correctly define the enemy. Who is the enemy? Are all members of the tribe enemy? Because a leader is coming from that tribe? Now, if you don't solve that, you're bound to make mistakes. And instead of helping these people to see those mistakes, they now go for this matter.
The East African Legislative Assembly has passed a resolution asking the ICC to allow them try the Kenyan indictees by the East African Court of Justice. What is your opinion on that?
We discussed it, and we said the Attorney General should advise us whether we can convert the East African Court to play a role in criminal matters, in the war crimes. And they are going to give us the advice.
And still, from our neighbors in Kenya, we have seen all these aspirants for the presidency in Kenya. In fact, I've seen Honorable Raila, Musyoka, Mr. Mudavadi, Mr. Ruto, all of them coming to you. What are they telling you? And do you have an interest in the Kenyan politics? Why are they here most of the time?
No, these are old friends, because NRM is an old party, and we know many of these people from long ago. We don't interfere in the politics of Kenya, but they just pay courtesy call, and that's all. We have nothing in particular.
There's no any string that President Museveni could be pulling, no interest in the Kenyan politics?
No interest. No, we have got interest in stability, but also the Kenyan people have got interest in stability. And it is for them to decide who should lead them, not us.
The East African community, we're taking baby steps, and we seem to be moving on. The market is on, but the ultimate goal is the political federation. It looks like Tanzania were having cold feet towards that. They have so many concerns. And some people say that you have pushed it more than any other leader in the region, this East African Federation thing.
I have no shame in pushing for the political federation. It's very good. And
with all respect that you want to be the president of East Africa.
Please, these are the old shallow points. Mwalimu Nyerere was pushing for the Federation of East Africa in 1961, 62, 63. He's now dead. Suppose the Federation had come into being, would he still be there to lead the Federation? Mwalimu Nyerere started the union of Zanzibar and Tanganyika to make Tanzania. Where is he now? The money is gone. Who are enjoying the union? It is these Tanzanians who are there today. Karume died long ago, very many years ago, 1972 actually. He only had a few years to. So what we are doing is not for individuals, it is for the people, it is for you fellows. So that you can get bigger space in which to look for a living. Why don't you want a bigger space for making a living? Me, I am a cattle keeper here.
I'm also a cattle keeper in Chenjeju.
Very good. So if the people in Kampala buy my milk, I'm very happy. But if the people in Kampala are not enough, and we can sell to Kenya, even better. Why are the Ugandans going to Juba? What are they looking for?
Business.
Yes. So East African is about business. East African Federation is about business.
Is it?
It's about the future of our children.
Do you see it being realized, the federation, within the given framework?
Oh yes, we are moving very well.
2013, which is next year.
We are moving very well. I cannot prescribe for everybody, but I think we are moving very well. And we are, when we last met in Bujumbura, it was agreed that the summit in November would discuss a report which would be presented, I think, by a committee created by the Secretary General or something like that. So there are some benchmarks which we are following.
And lastly, Mr. President, what do you want to be you to be remembered for? Kind of legacy?
Oh, giving you a vote because you didn't have a vote. You remember you didn't have a vote?
I was too young to vote then.
No, even those who were old did not vote. We voted in 1962, and we never voted again until 1980, 18 years. And even in 1980, the elections were very badly organized. I want to be remembered for making you sleep soundly in your bed without being killed by soldiers. I want to be remembered for the East African integration, to give you more space for earning a living, sending all Ugandan children to school, developing the human resource, and also transforming Uganda economically to become a middle-income country, which we are working for, and fighting sectarianism in Uganda, fighting business of religion, Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, tribes.
Mr. President,
it is the ideology of the NRM that I want people to remember us by.
Mr. President, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of the Nature Show. Thank you for all my viewers. Thank you, my production crew. Join us again next week when we bring you yet another edition of On the Spot. I'm your host, Patrick Amara. Good night and God bless.